President Biden breaking off talks with Republicans on his massive spending plan, key sticking points, the scope of the package, and how to pay for it. My next guest was the lead negotiator for the GOP, West Virginia Senator Shelley Moore Capito. Welcome. So you gave it the old college try, or even more. And in some ways, you really smoked out the Biden administration. They started at $2.3 trillion and then came down to $1 trillion. But still, they said there wasn't enough new spending in there. They wanted tax raises. What do you think happened in the end?
Well, I think in the end, we never got to the scope of what infrastructure is. The president still had in his plan extraneous items we felt that were not exactly physical infrastructure. They kept moving the goalposts on us. Originally, you know, they said $1 trillion, and then they said we could write it to 8 years, and we could include the baseline, which, as you know, is spending that we spend every year on infrastructure, which was critical. And then they said, no, we didn't really mean that. So it became confusing, I think, and also the president told me yesterday on the phone, very respectfully, that he was ending our negotiation.
Do you think that they were ever going to try to come to a deal?
You know, I think so. I think the president, in his heart, wants a bipartisan effort here on infrastructure, and we do too. I do too. Many of us do. The country does. But I think in the end, they decided that the pay-fors that they brought to me the final time were many taxes. We had told them before we could do this without raising taxes, and we gave them great opportunity to look at our pay-fors and how we would pay for this. And I think when they brought the tax hikes before me the last time when I was in the Oval Office, I knew that they weren't really serious at that point.
It seems that there was a lot of focus on the getting taxes raised and not as much focus as what actually needs to get fixed in terms of infrastructure. But then last night, the bipartisan problem solvers caucus says we've got a plan in place. So they've got an infrastructure idea. They think that they could probably get to 50+1 votes there in the Senate. Do you think that's possible? And what would be different in those negotiations compared to what you were doing?
Well, I think number one, we have to get to 60 votes to make this, to get it through the Senate. I was aiming for 20 Republicans, 25 Republicans. I had a broad negotiating committee with me that represented the ranking members of the relevant committees who are going to be writing these bills. And I thought that was critical mass there. I'm not sure how many Republicans will go with the problem solvers. We'll have to see how they work it out. You know, I think all ideas are welcome. But, you know, I'm a bit disappointed and frustrated that the White House really kept moving the ball on me and then finally just brought me negotiations that were untenable and then ended the negotiations altogether.
Do you feel that they undermined you in the press by talking about the negotiations?
Well, I think obviously when you have another object over there, another plan that is going to be more money, and they'd already said that, and they said that it included other things. Obviously, the White House is going to look towards that. So I don't think it helped.
Yeah, it was interesting. I saw that I think there were 90 left-leaning groups that are already signed on to a letter. I mean, that doesn't just happen overnight. They were planning that for a while in order to try to push the administration in a more progressive direction. Are reports true that President Biden wants a deal more than his staff around him does?
Well, I think our initial meeting with the president, he was very clear that he wanted a deal, and he laid out, as I said earlier, parameters to which we wrote our first offer, a robust, the biggest infrastructure package, a win for this country, a win for both the president and for the Congress and the country. And then the staff did walk it back, and that was disappointing. We went back to the president. He tried to clarify so that we had that dynamic going. There's no doubt about it. But listen, I'll tell you, the president was the one who was in this from the beginning, who wanted to see if we could have a successful outcome. I do believe that.
Who do you think loses the most if we can't actually in America agree on something like infrastructure and get this done?
Yeah, I mean, we've been able to agree on these things for years. I already have the surface transportation bill with Senator Carper out of our committee unanimously. We have a wastewater bill that we got 89-2 over the Senate floor. So there's a real hunger for this. I think the American people lose because they want to see us work together. Not to mention what happens to our infrastructure if we don't get this a more robust effort here when we have the opportunity to do it.
All right, Senator Capito, thank you for coming on the show. We'll stay in touch.
Thanks, Dana.